The key to raising profitable broilers, good looking broilers that will entice your clients in 6 week time, is you following a good management practice, good feeding practice, and vaccination practice. As you can see, we have our feeds already available in our storehouse. So we're using the Ultima feed. Ultima feed down here is one of the best feed we have, and so we're using the Ultima Plus Super Starter for the first 2 weeks. After, we're going to switch to the Ultima Super Starter for the next 2 weeks, which is going to make it 4 weeks, and then we'll finish up with the Ultima Finisher for the last 2 weeks. So we're trying to get the brooding house ready for our DO chicks that are going to arrive today. So we're going to try to heat up the house. We're using charcoal as our heat source, and so we're trying to set the fire to make sure that the house is heated up before the birds arrive. And while in the process of trying to do that, we realize that it's beginning to smoke, and so we don't want the whole room to be smoked up. So we have to take the charcoal burner outside to get everything ready, and then afterwards we're going to bring it in. So we did a whole lot of calculations just to get everything right, because we're raising 60 birds for a start. And so if this is something you would love to always see, remember, let me intimate you, I'm a graduate of agricultural economics from the University of Calabar. I graduated with a 2-1, that's second class upper. And so we're trying to see how we can make sure that you learn from here. Animal scientists are the ones who do this sort of stuff, but as an agricultural economist, I am mostly trying to maximize profit while at the same time imbibing the culture of animal scientists, which is to always love your animal. If you translate that love to your animal, you're going to see that your birds are going to do very well. If your bird wants to do well, or if you want them to do bad, you must love your birds. So that is exactly what I'm doing right here. From the 1 to 6 week, I'm going to translate that love to my birds to make sure that they are ready in 6 week for table consumption. I want to raise birds that will be, that will make people want to buy, like, don't want my birds. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do here. So if you want stuff like that, just subscribe to this channel and follow us through. You're gonna learn, and you're gonna learn the easy way. So hit that subscribe button right away. So we're trying to set the fire to make sure it is lit up and hot enough. Now, basically, we don't have a thermometer here, so we're going to improvise. We're going to study the behaviors of the birds to see how they react to the heat source, and then we're going to act accordingly. If the birds are, distancing themselves from the heat source so much, then we'll realize that the heat source is temperature is too high, and we might decide to take one of the heat source away. But if they come to conglomerates around the heat source or the just air, then we know that the heat is not enough, and we're going to introduce another one, so that all of them will be sparingly located the whole brooding house. So we're using Agritet. Agritet is one of the best birds we have down here. There are a lot of other birds like Chikun, Sonchi, and the rest of them. They are all good depending on what you want, but we want to use Agritet. This is not us trying to, promote Agritet, but this is what we want to use. So you can use whatever is good for you. So we're telling exactly what we're using: Ultima feeds, Agritet, and our management practice is such that we want to make sure that we avoid the bed or pen house to be always wet, because we don't want to be changing the litter material too often. So we're going to follow a management practice that is going to make sure the litter is always dry and friable at all time, which you're going to see if you're following us from this point onward. So there's a technique to making this possible. Always make sure that you fill the drinkers outside the pen house before bringing them in. Don't do them inside, because you're going to litter everything, and then the pen house is going to begin to start wetting up, and ammonia, builds up so easily, and you have a problem. So here we're going to take 6 liters of water, and then we're going to put 2 teaspoons of glucose. This glucose has paracetamol in it, because some of the birds will be stressed when upon arrival. So we're going to put 2 teaspoons of glucose in 6 liters of water, and then make sure that it is thoroughly mixed, as you can see, and then turn them inside the drinkers, and then flip them over and bring it inside the house. So just watch as I'm going to do that. See, flip. So I'm going to take all of them inside the pen house, and then I will welcome my dear old chicks. So these are the chicks. I'm taking them inside the house. So I'm going to just, pour them in. The first thing you're going to realize is that they start pecking the carton because they're looking for food. So as they're doing so, you're going to have to spray some of the food materials on the carton so that they'll begin to get used to the food. And then you're going to, the feed, sorry, what is their food? So their food is called feed. So you're going to put them on the carton, put them on the feeding tray or trough, and then introduce them to eat. They will start getting used to eat. Okay, so we have a feeding regime that we want to use because we have a certain kilogram of weight we want to achieve on the 6th week. So that's the glucose there. We're going to follow that regime to make sure that we don't overspend on feed. Of course, broiler to feed ratio, you have to consider that because that's how you're going to calculate your profitability or how you're going to sell your birds. Broiler to feed ratio, okay, it's 2.6. That's the value. So that's how you're going to calculate how much you're going to sell each of your birds. So this is what we're trying to do. Everything is going to be set, and then we'll just basically bring the birds inside and get them ready. Everything from day 2. This is just day 1. The only thing we're putting in here is the glucose and the feed we're giving them. So we bought a and how do you call it, solar power lights, so we could make sure the birds are feeding during the night, so the light is charging somewhere outside using the solar energy, so that in the night time the birds will eat, and then we're just going to allow them 1 hour of darkness for the first week. In the second week we're going to introduce 4 hours of darkness. Third week the same thing. Then you'll get to know all this thing with time. Just subscribe and follow us. Okay, so management practice, a good vaccination procedure or routine, and a feeding routine is really important. And so this is my dad trying to see what's going on here. It's more like a demonstration farm, something you can learn, and I mean you're going to learn the easy way. So these are just the birds here trying to make fun. They are happy moving around. They're very active, agile. As you can see, none of them is dull, so we expect that we record very low mortality because that's the essence of it. If you record less than 10% mortality, you're good to go, but any mortality that's above 10%, my brother, you're really in trouble. So if you have 60 birds and then you lose 6 of them, you're still good to go. The moment you lose 7 birds, you're already in for trouble. So try as much as possible to make sure that hygiene is top notch, your management practice is top notch, you feed them properly, monitor them from time to time to make sure the birds are feeding your love and care. Okay, so this is how far we can go for today's content. I hope to see you in our next content. This is just day 1. Day 2, we're going to give you the update on day 2. We're going to start the anti-stress vitamin and antibiotics for 2 to 5 days, 5 days period, and we'll see how everything is going to go. Along the line, we're going to also give them boosters, so stay tuned.